What's up, Cotton Candy Cloud podcast listeners? This is Fee. Song of the day is Ghetto Superstar by Pras featuring Maya. And this is the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast, okay? This podcast loves Megan Pete. Thank you for hanging out with me, Fee, on this podcast. That's me yapping and yammering about a smorgasbord of topics with a myriad of theories and perspectives in addition to my interpretations and opinions. Too much of nothing and a little bit of everything, justifying randomness. This is what this podcast is about. Speaking of Pras, girl, did you know this man was sentenced to 14 years in prison? Apparently, he got $120 million from a Malaysian billionaire, and he steered some of that money through straw donors to the Obama campaign. Then he tried to end a Justice Department investigation to the person who gave him the money, and he tampered with two witnesses and perjured himself at trial. The person who he got the money from lived in China and was one of the primary financiers of The Wolf of Wall Street, y'all. Okay? The movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, who was a witness, apparently, at the trial. So his motivation, the man's motivation for giving Pras the money to donate was not so that he could achieve some policy objective or political objective. Instead, it was simply wanted to obtain a photograph, okay, of him and then President Obama. Okay. In August of 2024, the judge rejected Pras' request for a new trial based in part on his defense attorney's use of a generative AI program during his closing of the trial's arguments. The judge said that and other trial errors didn't amount to a serious miscarriage of justice, and they wanted to, what was crazy, give this man life. I don't understand because based off of because I had to read several articles. I'm like, what did he do exactly? So they think he's a traitor and all this kind of stuff. Girl, I don't understand. Like, when you think about the political party and the president we have now and what he's funneled and what he's done with his money for his campaign to win and how he's tampered with things, you're like, how is this black man, this black rapper man from the Fugees, a traitor because he received money from a dude and gave some of the money to a campaign so this man could get the pigs? Anyway, okay. The more important things that are happening are the crazy thing with the Voter Rights Act. Do y'all know what happened? So basically, and before I say this, just know the articles, the posts, the word of the days, all that stuff, it's on social media, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on Blue Sky, it's on places. So you can get to see those articles for yourself if you want, or you can look it up for yourself. So basically what happened Wednesday, which was yesterday, the Voter Rights Act was, and I'm just trying to say this in layman's terms because, again, you know, the thing about these articles being written, you read the articles and you're still lost. Then people regurgitate what's in the articles, but use the jargon a part of the subject matter, and it gets lost. And I know they say that, you know, when you change the wordings of things in research and politics and things, it gets lost in translation. But for the lamest man, for a regular person, it's hard sometimes to understand what's going on, when in actuality, I believe that you can simplify and define what's happening in the world or within something, you know, research, etc. And it won't get lost in translation because now the regular person knows what the hell is going on. So basically, I'm just going to try to surmise it with my my limited understanding myself. So basically, the Voting Rights Act was an act enacted in 1964, I want to say. And it was basically to ensure that racism was not a factor in how people voted. And it did not, it did not allow for gerrymandering. It did not allow for people to not have a voice in the voting booth, basically. So now they're saying that they've altered, what's the proper word? I'll just say in the layman's terms again, they've altered the Voting Rights Act now. And they're saying, well, if we, for instance, if we change districts, if we redo the maps of the voting maps, it's not racism actually. And this came out of Louisiana. Okay. So the thing that is, I think, getting me the most is that when I was reading about it, I guess I was thinking to myself why people were thinking like was the end of the world. I am a Black woman, Southern, obviously. So, of course, I'm affected the most, or I have the propensity to be affected the most. But here's the thing. We talk about the justices, the judges, the Supreme Court who have done this maneuvering of sorts, 6-3. And we talk about, representatives and presidents and things, but we forget about the people. Because what I gathered was, at the end of the day, because this was an alteration, a maneuvering of the Voter Rights Act, now essentially white people, is what they're saying themselves even, will be able to get Republicans into wherever they need to get into for their political arenas, areas, etc. And I'm like, so why are we focusing on, because my thing is, let's just say they changed the Voter Rights Act, and the election is coming up. There's one coming up, matter of fact, in May in many states. There's one coming up, of course, for the presidency very soon, sooner than later, honestly, if you think about it, right? And they maneuver these things, and they're trying to ensure that the Republicans win. But what if they don't? Because even the white poor people who they're trying to get to elect their officials say, fuck that. We're tired ourselves because our benefits are being taken because you on this weird, let's blame Black people or let's harp on Black people shit. We gonna vote in our best interest too. And they change parties and they vote Democrat or whatever they do. And then you don't win in the end. I'm like, and then the people online, and these are the ancestors' children, acting like life is over and, we're doomed for life, and they finna, take off and go to another country as if other countries are welcoming to Black people, Black Americans in particular, any Black people in the diaspora. And I'm just like, what's with the hopelessness? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand. My thing is like, and you have these pictures of these people in history, in Black history, but in history, in American history, who were hopeful despite being beaten, dying for the rights of their children that they would never meet. And they still had their heads up higher. They still fought the good fight. And it's exhausting. No one's denying that. But I think when things happen like this, it's not some kind of it's not to impress panic and unrest amongst the people. Like, nothing's over. Okay, first of all, the fat lady hasn't sung. And then also, we don't know what this outcome will do. They've tried every which way, and they, quote unquote, have tried every which way, every which thing to try to maneuver the results of different elections and different things that happen on there, for their side. And it doesn't always turn out what they want it to be, because guess what? It's not going to. Because that's not how humanity, that's not how really the world works. Historically speaking, they have quote unquote giving us our rights or giving people their rights or allow people to fight for their rights because it benefited them some way. But in the end, even if they were to strip it, it's still because of it benefited them in some way. If they were to go back and restrict it, it's not going to benefit them anyways. One young lady on Threads brought up something good. She was like, okay, people are talking about the Voting Rights Act, but they're not understanding how it's leading up to ultimately the changing of laws and homelessness being a crime and them using homeless people as basically the new modern slaves, even though prisoners right now are the new modern slaves, right? Or modern slave. That's redundant. That's the word of the day, actually, but we'll get to that later. But the modern slaves, right? And so she was saying how it's leading up to this. They're on a path of unrighteousness to get to a point of modern slavery or make it even a bigger systematic modern slavery, because it's already existing, like I said, with prisoners right now. So, and I think that's a good thing to think about, the path that maybe the Voter Rights Act, the alteration of the Voter Rights Act could possibly happen. But again, we just don't know. Like, again, I'm like, and another thing is, I don't like, I've mentioned this before, probably on the podcast, but definitely, in personal conversations with people, I don't understand the focal point, the centering of individuals, because at the end of the day, it's the people. Again, I've said it even before on this pod, just a few minutes ago, getting all bent out of shape because the Supreme Court, those 6 Supreme Court judges did their mess, or thinking about the representatives of these individual named, sources of evil. But at the end of the day, they're rallied behind by a group of people. They're not doing this. They're not pulling a trigger and making sure that they got the fear of God and people know. They're just simply supported by the masses, your neighbors, the people that you're walking around with in the grocery store and everything. Those are the people that are truly the ones changing society or keeping society the same or at status quo. Those are the people. That's the people we need to be mad about. We need to force the energy, on them. Girl, I didn't have no water. I must be saying the truth, because they trying to stop me, Lord. My own voice box, Lord, is trying to stop me. So yeah. Anyway, I just feel like there's, it's still time to be hopeful. Anything could change. Focusing on the groups of people that they're when they do these maps. Another thing that I thought, and I'm skipping around, I'm sure it's not cohesive, but I hope because you're here on the Cotton County Clouds podcast, you understand where I'm coming from. You can hear me. You've gotten acquainted to how I acquiesce the conversation at hand. But I just feel like everybody was talking about how, this is going to affect the South, the Black people in the South. And I was like, why would it just affect the South? I don't know what it is with people and them thinking that the South was some kind of center stage for hatred. I'm like, the United States quite literally was formed on a plot of land already inhabited by people. Those people were wiped, a large percent of those people were wiped out to bring in stolen people to work the land, to build this nation. And it was across the entire landscape. Okay, so you had some people freely walking or something. I'm like, how do you know Pennsylvania isn't going to try to do something else? How do you know Nevada? Like, I don't understand why they keep honing in on the South. And by the way, Southern Black people, we move different. You never know. Another thing is embracing moving. Okay, so they say, this highly, essentially this highly concentrated Black part in Louisiana has a major impact on an election. So we're going to what's the word I'm looking for? My goodness. We're going to just basically separate. Y'all, I cannot think of that word. It starts with a D. But we're going to, I know y'all might be probably screaming it out, but y'all, we're going to whatever these people so that it's in favor of our voting habits. But what if those black people move to another concentrated area? And now you done ain't this nothing. And now you've actually created a bigger problem for yourself. It's possible. Where's the hope? I don't like being online when some truth bomb drops or some, discouraging thing happens in history. And then people act like all hope is lost and there's nothing we can do and all this. And it's just horrifying. People, believe it or not, I have experience with this when it was during COVID. When big things like this happen, people are already anxious and on edge and got different issues that they're dealing with. But then when things like this happen, it just amplifies it. Okay. And then, it becomes a somber energy cast amongst the people who probably may have had hope, maybe good ideas. Maybe they wanted to be encouraged to get into the community. But when you have people, putting forth that hopelessness, maybe they get discouraged. Maybe they become more depressed, anxious. I'm like, my God. Okay. So word of the day is tautological. Love it down. It means redundant. It means involving or containing rhetorical rhetoric, true by virtue of its logical form alone. Okay. Tautological, Tautological. It is an adjective. And that is word of the day. So let's take a moment to talk about the incense of the season and crystal of the month. It's April and it's damn near May. And I gotta say, I don't know. April, this probably is the longest April that I've lived or felt like I've lived. April is usually a very fast-paced month. And it felt like it was going fast. Then it around the 20th or something, it slowed down. And then all of a sudden, it was like the 25th. And then it slowed down again. And then now, okay, finally, we're about to be in the new month. I don't know. Did y'all feel that kind of pacing? It was weird. It was odd. But April is about to dip out. April showers bring May flowers, and I am a May flower. So I'm excited about May because that is when we got 9 days to the 9th, and that's when Fee came about. All right, so incense of the season is Jasmine. It enhances mood. It's known to reduce stress, improve emotional balance, and promote positivity. And crystal of the month of April was Kyanite. And it is the communication stone. It helps unburden energy blockages and negative self-talk, rehabilitate self-expression and intuitive knowledge. I hope that y'all were able to get a piece of Kyanite. It's a beautiful stone. It's a stone that works. And I hope that you enjoyed yourself. So let's talk about something really crazy that's, it was just like, what's going on? Okay. So y'all, this man is suspected of stealing $35,000 in Legos, swapping the pieces for pasta before returning. So a 28-year-old man wanted for stealing Lego merchandise at Target stores across the nation was arrested in Orange County, California. Surveillance cameras captured the man entering a Target in Irvine, California, and browsing the Lego section. He grabbed 2 large box sets and eventually left the store. Irvine police said the man is accused of removing valuable minifigures and pieces from the boxes and in some cases replacing them with dried pasta, when returning the items to retailers. Irvine detectives were called to investigate the case. Body cam footage from Irvine police showed officers locating and surrounding the suspect's vehicles before he was handcuffed. Investigators said this man was wanted in connection with at least 70 thefts at Target stores across the United States. and is accused of stealing around $34,000 worth of merchandise. The suspect was arrested for grand theft and booked. Last week, 3 people were arrested after allegedly stealing 2 truck trailers in California that contained pricey Legos. Jose Lopez, 37, of San Bernardino, and Ruben Lopez Flores, 25, of Los Angeles, and Freddie Hernandez Polonar, 35, of Chino, were taken in custody. Collectible Legos have become popular commodities among investors who are always searching for new pieces to add to their Lego portfolios. Particularly Facebook Marketplace, I think, is probably the most popular option these days. You see a lot of these thefts being listed on there. Pretty soon they take place, they'll start to try to offload them. Who is a host and owner of Beyond the Brick, the world's largest Lego fan community. That's who said that quote. Girl, okay, a donated gold Lego piece that showed up at a Pennsylvania Goodwill was auctioned off for $18,000 back in February. Let me tell you something. First of all, the idea that it's like everything going on, voting rights being taken away, stripped, all the things. We got something going on with the nations. And these people are stealing Legos. It has become a community of Lego thievery in this nation. Like, is that not so? It's like dystopian. It's like, what's going on, people? $34,000. Do you know what that could do for my life? And this man has stolen and put Pras in there because it probably sounds like it. If you tape it up right, the box is up right, it probably sounds like it. At this point, this is so crazy to me, so odd and bizarre to me that I'm like, Lego company, y'all got something to do with this? Stop playing with the people. Now, y'all got something to do with this because ain't no way. Because think about it. If you have a whole bunch of, and then the 3 people who stole the truck. Now, this the whole goddamn truck of the Legos. Because my thing is, if you steal these Legos, it's going to be article after article talking about Legos. Then people are bringing up, that whole group, the Lego community. They bringing up Legos. It's a talks amongst the Facebooks and the different social media platforms. Everybody's talking about Legos. There's going to be a engine. At that point, it's an engineered lust and desire to have Legos. And children is going to get a hold of children. They going to be like, Lego this, Lego that. I'm like, this is going to raise the price of the Lego. And it's going to raise the exchange for the Lego. And it's like, this is the Lego company. This is the Lego company doing this. And you can't convince me otherwise. Because it's like, what are we talking about? Because I've known a lot of things to be stolen. But Legos is just not one of them. It's just not. Like, I can't. Before I get out of here, I'm going to tell you that I don't know if you knew, but tomorrow, Friday, excuse me, my voice all chopped up. I got to get me some water up in here. But Friday, the first full moon in May, falls on May Day, which represents the halfway point between March equinox and June solstice, respectively, signifying the beginning of spring and summer in the northern hemisphere, which is probably where you are listening to this. You may not be, though. Okay, the nickname flower moon comes from the Comanche, and I might be mispronouncing that, I'm so sorry, tribe. It is a fitting name as the full moon arrives when wildflowers begin to bloom much across North America and especially in the Great Plains, where I think it's Comanche, are from. However, indigenous tribes have various names for this moon. And in this article that I'm looking at from CNN describes different names that different tribes call it. Like the Shawnee people call it strawberry moon, the Choctaw and the Creek call it mulberry moon. I think it's all beautiful. But anyway, the point is that these fruits, these flowers spring forth during this moon, and this is how it gets its nickname. And during May also, we get 2 full moons, which comes at the end of May. I think May 31st. Okay. And, maybe this is the full moon energy. I don't know. Anyway, it's crazy. They say that full moon do stuff, but I love a good full moon. This is a Scorpio full moon if you're into that kind of thing. And I am a Scorpio moon because obviously, I'm a May child of the beginning of the month. So, shout out to Scorpio moons. It's a very deep life that we live. All right. So quote of the day is by a poet who won, I think, hold on, let me see. Was it the, let me see. Award-winning poet. Yeah, she won the Pulitzer Prize for American Primitive, and she was an amazing poet. Anyway, okay, quote of the day, because again, April was National Poetry Month. I don't know if you are poets out there. I don't know if you like poetry, but get into poetry more, okay? Poetry is beautiful. And Mary Oliver is the woman, the award-winning poet, and she says, poetry is one of the ancient arts, and it begins, as did all the fine arts, within the original wilderness of the earth. And I think the wilderness of the earth, poetry itself, it encompasses April, it encompasses spring. You know what I'm saying? And so I hope that you've enjoyed April. I hope you're okay. It's going to be okay, y'all. Even though these things are laid out, and people are disparaged and everything, and I still didn't is it disparage? Okay. I couldn't figure out the D word. Anyway, even though these things are happening, listen, there is hope core everywhere. Okay. Pull closer to the people around you, your neighbors, your community, and it's going to be all right. And we're going to get through this. And you don't have to be living in despair because you hear something drop. It's okay. Believe it or not. It may not seem like it, but it is. And it will be. Okay. Thank you for listening to the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast. I will hear from you in May. When your head is in the clouds, there's always something sweet to think about.